Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar this evening on Zonehaven. This is a new management tool, a web-based management tool for evacuations, and we are excited that you are here tonight with us. The Santa Clara County Fire Department serves the communities of Campbell, Cupertino, Los Altos Hills, Los Gatos, Montesarino, and Saratoga. Zonehaven is live in all of our served communities. And if you are here tonight from a different city, welcome. Zonehaven will be live in your city very soon. So thank you for being here with us again. And I would like to introduce Gina Callie, who is going to be managing the chat tonight. Gina, if you could wave to the group here. She will be managing your questions. If you have a question at any time, please enter it into the chat. And please pay attention to the chat because she's going to be entering a lot of great information for you. If your question is not answered in the time that we have this presentation, we can get back to you and send you an email with a follow-up to your question. If you think of something maybe in a day or so or later on, you can always contact us at Community Outreach. We're going to provide that email information for you, and you can go ahead and ask your question in that manner. So thank you for being with us. And I would like to introduce our presenters. Tonight we have Captain Justin Stockman and we have Chief Matheson. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to go to the next slide there. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Mike Matheson. I'm a battalion chief in charge of pre-fire management and wildfire resilience for Santa Clara County Fire. And tonight, along with my counterpart from the Information and Public Affairs Office, Captain Stockman, we're going to be going over our new tool called Zonehaven. And we're going to be explaining what it is, how we plan to use it, how you will be receiving alerts, and how things will not change in some of the ways that you receive alerts. How to evacuate safely, and then also emergency preparedness as it relates to evacuation and evacuation planning. So next slide. Okay, so we'll start off by explaining what Zonehaven is. Zonehaven is a clear, concise, and efficient tool that first responders can use to effectively plan, communicate, and execute evacuations. And when I say efficient, we used to have to create evacuation zones, as you see here on the second picture with one of our captains on the CZU Lightning Complex last year, hand drawing evacuation zones using streets or geographical boundaries, and then trying to communicate that to the public. If you live within these bounds, you are to either prepare to evacuate or evacuate. With Zonehaven, these zones are already created. That takes out all of the guesswork or on the fly jotting down of zones and creates numbered, sequenced zones that the incident managers on any type of incident can call out by number and by three-digit identifier, whether you live in Cupertino or Los Gatos or Saratoga, and have those zones communicated to you via our alerting system that we'll be going over here in a little bit. Zonehaven also allows you to determine the evacuation status of your community and actually look up where you live so that you know which zone you're in. And yeah, so we can move on to the next slide. So Zonehaven has been used around the state already. A lot of it last year, a lot of it on incidences this year. But last year specifically, it was used on the CZU Lightning Complex fire and was also put into place momentarily for a couple of days in the Los Altos Hills area when the fire looked like it might potentially come across the ridgeline and affect the county. It was also used in the Glass fire, the Red Salmon Complex fire. This year it was used on the Dixie fire, the Antelope fire, the McCash, the Lava, the River Complex, the Beckworth Complex, the river fire, and the cache fire. So it's utilized in a large areas of the state, and we're really excited to bring it here to Santa Clara County. So like I said, Zonehaven is a web-based platform and provides real-time evacuation updates. And there are two components to Zonehaven. The Zonehaven EVAC is specifically for managers, fire managers, or emergency managers. This allows us the opportunity to get on the actual website, make changes to the zones so that you can then see them in the Zonehaven Aware application. In the Zonehaven Aware application, you're not able to actually access and change the zones, but you're able to monitor the zones and figure out where you are in relation to where the incident and the evacuations have been ordered or are being warned for. So it's a public-facing app that citizens can access to see current information on a community map, and we'll be going over how to do that tonight in real time. If you guys have your phones, get them out, get them ready, because Captain Stockman's going to go over how to download the actual Aware on your phone with a QR code, and then you can start. We'll have an interactive little drill with you guys tonight if you want. Next slide. So Zonehaven is live in only portions of our county at this point, and that's areas that are served by Santa Clara County. And they're currently live in the wildland urban interface areas of Los Altos Hills, Cupertino, Saratoga, Montesreno, Los Gatos, the Lexington Basin, and Redwood Estates area. The reason it's only live in our jurisdiction at this time is because the county fire last year dedicated some general fund money to bring this resource to our fire district. After having worked on incident management teams throughout the state, they saw the benefit of the actual program. The management of the department decided that that was an investment that they wanted to make, and we brought it over. At the same time, Santa Clara County Fire also wrote a grant, multiple grants, to fund this program for the rest of the county. And right now that grant is in the process of being awarded, and the funds are being encumbered shortly. And once those funds are encumbered, the county-wide rollout will begin. And me and Captain Stockman and a number of other of my counterparts will be involved in helping the other communities in the county create their zones and learn from the mistakes that we made. It was almost an 8 to 9 month process for us to create the zones and bring all of the stakeholders together, and we'll be there to mentor the other agencies within the county when the funds become available. So how do we plan to use Zonehaven? Zonehaven can be used for more than just wildfires. We can use that, and we have used it for wire down calls. We've used it for gas leaks, but we can also use it for earthquakes, floods, or dam failures, severe weather that might impact a certain community, hazardous materials releases, active shooters, incidences where we'd be in unified command with our law enforcement partners. So the majority of the uses for Zonehaven recently have been for wildfires, but it is a tool that we can use for all risk in any type of large catastrophic emergency. And then Zonehaven helps fire managers and emergency managers in events that are complex, rapidly expanding, multi-jurisdictional, where evacuations over large areas, over multiple communities or even counties can be affecting large populations and evacuees, and requires a lot of coordination with traffic. A lot of these evacuations that we've learned over the last 5 years is the roads we have now were never made for the amount of people that we are going to be putting in to those roads in the event that we have a mass evacuation. And when we do an evacuation, we are in close, coordination with our law enforcement partners, because they're the ones that are going to be actually moving you in and out of these areas and going door to door to try to get you to get going. And having Zonehaven, where we are able to see where evacuation routes, if we have them, are already loaded within the zone. If we have evacuation centers that have already been approved for use within the zones, they're all listed in those areas, and it's constantly being updated. which helps emergency managers not have to invent it as they go along, as well as try to mitigate an incident that's rapidly expanding. And Zonehaven uses some standardized evacuation terminology, and we're going to go over a couple of. We're going to go over the number or I'm sorry. We're going to go over the colors and what they mean, and then we're going to go over two very specific ones in the next slide. So, our evacuation terminology is we'll start off with normal, green. So if you get on your Zonehaven app, you're going to see your zone is most likely green, meaning there's nothing going on. There's no evacuation warning or anything that needs to be advertised to the public going on in your zone. Yellow is an advisory. Advisory is normally used to alert the public areas to avoid. So like if we have a gas leak, a power line down that's going to be down for a while, or a road that's going to be closed for a bit, we may put an advisory in that zone with comments saying, avoid this area, here's what's happening. Evacuation warning and order, we'll go over in the next slide, but you will see these two the most during wildland fires and other catastrophic emergencies. Shelter in place is your purple. That's typically used for utility emergencies or hazmats or potential law enforcement incidences where we want people to just stay inside until we can mitigate what's going on outside. And then the blue is the clear to repopulate. And that's self-explanatory. Once we move you out, we have to come up with a plan to move you back in. And those zone colors will be changed based on what we're trying to do within the zone. So going into our standardized evacuation terminology, the two that you're going to see the most likely, especially in a wildland fire, you have evacuation warning and an evacuation order. So in a warning, and I just want to be real specific with the public here, there's no set time frame for when, if your zone goes yellow into an evac, or I'm sorry, not yellow, goes into what color was that? Yellowish orange, a warning. It's not set in stone how long it's going to be a warning. It could be 12 hours, it could be 24 hours, it could be 10 minutes. Evacuation warnings, there's a threat to life and property. It may not be immediate, but it's there. This tries to give you time to gather your stuff, your animals, your medications, your valuables, your go bags, give you time to get yourself ready and out the door, preferably ahead of the order when everybody is going to be hitting those evacuation routes. And when you have a wildland fire, we try to box in the wildland fire. We have control objectives, right? Keep it north of this road, south of that road, east of this ridge, and west of that. If your house is within that box, chances are you're going to be in an evacuation order. If your house is outside of that box, it's going to be in a warning situation. But if our objectives are our primary objectives, our incident objectives are not met, and that box is compromised, your house or your zone could very quickly turn from a warning to an order. So just because you're under a warning doesn't mean that it's any time to just take a break and relax. Warning means warning, and my advice to you would be to get your affairs in order and be ready to go at a moment's notice, or just get out ahead of it. It never hurts to be out of the way before something catastrophic happens. Evacuation order, there is an immediate threat to your life or property. And it is our job as firefighters to get into those areas and either assist in evacuations or to protect life and property. In an order, we are expecting that the order is heeded and people have left. We are in California. We cannot compel you to leave your house. We can only strongly suggest that you do. I just want to, having been responsible for moving thousands of people during a fire in 2016 on Loma Prieta, we do not take these orders lightly. We understand the inconvenience we're creating in your lives. We understand the questions and the concerns for your property. Well, what we need you to understand is that if we are asking you to leave, there's a good reason to do so. And that if you are out and do not need help, That lets our firefighters concentrate on protecting your homes or meeting the control objectives of the fire so that we can box it in and put it out. For those that choose to stay, as an incident commander, I cannot guarantee your safety. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to leave you all by yourself and ignore your request for help, but I cannot guarantee that I have the resources in order to help you if I've already ordered that you leave. So the leaving, I just want to reemphasize, leaving allows the firefighters the opportunities to protect your homes and meet the control objectives of putting the fire out. And the less that we have to dodge, the less cars we need to dodge, the less residents that choose to stay that automatically decide they want to leave and now want to get out. That's going to deviate from our main objective of trying to keep this fire from spreading and protecting your properties. So with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Captain Stockman, and we'll start our interactive drill with the Zonehaven. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Chief. As has been mentioned, my name is Justin Stockman. I'm a fire captain with Santa Clara County, and I also work in our Information and Public Affairs office. More than anything, just before we get started on the demo here, I want to thank you for taking time to be with us tonight. Really, this is one of the most important steps you can take as part of our community and becoming partners with us. Because the time to figure these things out as a community member is not in the middle of a disaster. And that's really what we're talking about tonight, is the things that you can do ahead of time to be familiar with how this process is going to work. And like Chief Matheson, I'm very excited by how much certainty and knowledge and information that Zonehaven can put right at your fingertips as a community member. And so as I go through this, I really want to encourage you, if you have questions, put them in the chat. We don't know what you don't know. You have to ask us so that we can answer. So please don't hesitate as we move through this. Before we launch into scanning this QR code, I want to read to you a traditional evacuation message that would come across through various methods. And we'll talk about those methods in a minute, but I want to read this to you. This is an evacuation for all areas south of the West Valley Freeway, west of 17, north of Blossom Hill, east of Winchester Boulevard. Is that an easy to understand definition of an evacuation order? In the middle of a stressful disaster, can you intake that information and know what to do? It's difficult. Maybe you can. Maybe you're very familiar with the geography around your home, but our traditional way requires a lot of messaging, a lot of effort, not just on your part, but on the part of emergency responders. And effort taken in that aspect takes effort away from other places. So I want to show you how Zonehaven works. So before we watch a little video, I'd like to ask you, if you have a camera, a phone with a camera on it, it's just open your phone camera and point it at that QR code right there. If you don't have a phone with a camera, you can use another device. Try not to use the one you're on, just so you can stick with us. But if you have another device, just go to community.zonehaven.com. Once you're there, there's a box that's going to pop up. You have to either accept or decline some terms. And then there's another box where there's some tooltips. You can skip the tooltips. That button's a little finicky, so if it won't let you skip, just run through them real quickly. Because all I want you to do, we're gonna learn more about the whole system in just a minute. But really what I want you to do is just look up your address in the toolbar in the upper left, right? And once you've done that, you'll see that you get this amazing card that comes up, and it gives you some very important information. And it takes that complexity of the zone I just described a specific zone to you, and reduces it, this one in particular, to LGA E2. LGA E Edward 2, and that's it. So one thing I'd like you to do tonight, before we get off, or either before we get off the webinar or immediately after, is look your zone up and write it down. Wherever is going to be most convenient for you. Write it down in the notes on your phone, write it down on a sticker on your fridge, whatever's going to work where you'll have access to it when you need it. Because that's how we're going to start evacuating. Instead of those complex descriptions, we're just going to use that simple zone identifier. And if you are served by a county fire engine, you live in one of these predetermined zones, okay? The other thing I want to mention, and Chief Matheson already spoke very well to it, is most things aren't changing. So the jurisdiction that has responsibility for initiating an evacuation, that's not changing. How you're going to be notified of evacuations, that is not changing. So the most important thing you can do tonight, the most important thing is either sign up for Alert SCC or make sure you're still signed up for Alert SCC. And we'll revisit that a couple more times. All you have to do is go to alertscc.org and follow the instructions. But we cannot give you information if you are not signed up for Santa Clara County's emergency alert system. And I see Gina, thank you, Gina, just dropped a link to Alert SCC right there in the chat. So please make sure you're signed up. Gracie, can we go to the next slide if you don't mind? So this next slide is just going to show us what that card that hopefully you already found shows you. And this is a different county, so it's not going to match what you see exactly. Specifically, you're not going to see that button that says subscribe to alerts, but you should have found this already. So you should see the identifier for your zone. Maybe it says LAH1 for Los Altos Hills, or maybe it says CUP for Cupertino, or maybe it says LGA for Los Gatos, or you get the idea, SAR for Saratoga. You see the status of the zone. So in this example, this zone's under advisory, right? And you see the reason for the status, right? If I'm looking at, again, LGAE2, just because that's where Santa Clara County Fire Headquarters is, and it tells me the status is normal. And it says no current knowledge of active public safety incidents affecting your area. You can see the description of the zone. This one is nice and simple. Again, most zones are not going to be that simple, including the summary. And then useful links. And that's one thing you will find in your card if you looked it up. You should see a bunch of useful links, including a link directly to the county's alerting system, Alert SCC, which again, please be signed up for. And then County Fire's Ready, Set, Go program, among a couple other links. But let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this. I hope you don't mind. I put together a little pre-recorded video just so I make sure I don't miss anything. Gracie, if we could go to that and click play. Thank you. This will be about 5 minutes. No volume there, Gracie.
How about now?
Yeah, got it.
This short 5-minute video is going to walk you through the process of using Zonehaven. Begin by navigating to community.zonehaven.com. Once there, accept or decline the agreement. You can then use the tooltips to see the different functions, including search, active fires, weather, legend, and filters. Once you understand the tooltips, the first thing to know is that you can easily pan or zoom the map with your mouse. Zoom in, and you can see that each zone is clearly labeled with a designator. Click on a zone for more information. Once you click on the zone, an information box will appear. It will show you the zone designator, the zone status, reason for the status, a summary of the zone, a description of the zone, and useful links. To see additional useful links, click See All. Each of these links is clickable. In this example, we will take a look at Alert SCC. It is exceptionally important to be signed up for Alert SCC. Zonehaven does not take the place of Alert SCC. Instead, the two products work in concert to keep you informed and aware of protective actions in your area. We can next take a look at Santa Clara County Fire's Ready, Set, Go webpage. This is a great resource for understanding the things you can do before a protective action is necessary to keep yourself, your family, and your community safe from wildfire and other threats. Once you have reviewed the linked information, go ahead and close the new tab that is opened, and you'll be returned immediately to Zonehaven Aware. One of the most powerful tools within Zonehaven is the ability to search for your specific address to determine if you were affected by a current protective action, like an evacuation order, evacuation warning, or shelter in place. Type your address, and Zonehaven will recenter the map and show you the zone that currently applies. You can also take a look and see who your fire and police agency are with primary responsibility for your area. We can see the same information that was present previously, including zone designator and description. We can also easily toggle between a satellite view and a map view to better orient around your home, your neighborhood, or your workplace. Let's toggle the view back to map and zoom out and take a look at an area under current evacuation orders and warnings. We'll navigate up to the Dixie Fire in Plumas County to see an example of what an area might look like while protective actions are in place. You can see that as we navigate into the area of the 2021 Dixie Fire, the zone status is indicated by different colors. You can find a key to these colors using the tools in the upper left of the screen. In this example, some zones are shaded red. These zones are under evacuation order. Other zones are under evacuation warning, which are shaded yellow. One final tip for using Zonehaven is the ability to see detailed local weather directly inside of the application. You can see temperature, relative humidity, rainfall, wind, and air quality index. Always double check that you are looking at the weather for the correct area, and remember that weather is never a reason to ignore a protective action. Thank you for taking time to watch this tutorial. I want to remind you one more time that it is critically important that you either sign up or remain signed up for Alert SCC. Alert SCC remains the best source of information for local Santa Clara County alerts and will advise you of any change in status to Zonehaven zones. Thank you and be safe.
So hopefully that was helpful. Sorry, my the music in the background was actually really good. I spent a lot of time on it, so I'm sorry it didn't really come through. But if you want to watch it again, the good news is that video on its own is actually available on our YouTube, and you can hear the awesome music I picked out and get any clarification you need on how to actually use Zonehaven. But you keep hearing me emphasize Alert SCC, and I'm gonna do it again. And I want to clarify that Alert SCC is not a Santa Clara County Fire Department tool. Alert SCC is a Santa Clara County tool. So countywide, whether you're served by Santa Clara County Fire or San Jose Fire or Mountain View Fire, Alert SCC is the tool that will be used to notify you. All the notifications that come from those agencies eventually go out through Alert SCC. But there's actually a number of different important ways to be alerted. And I want to run through those with you for just a minute. Again, we are not changing the notification piece. The notification remains the same. You being signed up remains critically important. Who authorizes and conducts those notifications is remaining the same. There are two types of wireless emergency alerts that are used generally in Santa Clara County. The most easy to use or the most easy for you to receive is just called a wireless emergency alert, or sometimes you'll hear it called a WEA. WEAs do not require you to opt in. Those are the alerts you get for like an Amber Alert, for example, where whether your phone is on silent or not, whether it's the middle of the day or the middle of the night, and whether you have Verizon or T-Mobile or AT&T or Comcast or whoever, your phone lights up, it makes that loud sound that you don't normally hear, and you're very attuned to, hey, there's something wrong, I need to pay attention. Again, WEAs are great because you don't have to take an action to receive a WEA alert. The thing about WEAs is there's a lot of restrictions on using them. It's actually a nationwide product. So there's restrictions certainly in when it can be utilized, but there's also lots of restrictions on what can actually be sent over it. And that's why Alert SCC is so important. And so again, I wanna emphasize that Alert SCC requires you to opt in. If you do not sign up, you will not receive Alert SCC messages. The way we'll use Alert SCC with Zonehaven is we'll send a message that says something like wildfire, Aldercroft Heights area, evacuation order zone LGA E1, E2, E3, E4. And then right in the text message will be a link that says community.zonehaven.com. The idea is that you can click that link and look up and see if you're affected by that emergency alert. In fact, Gracie, can we just go to the next slide, because that's going to touch more specifically on Alert SCC. So the concept is you can click on that link and you can tell specifically if you're affected. I want to be clear about a couple more things with Alert SCC. Number one, it's free. Of course, you have to pay for messaging, just like anything else. I'm obligated to tell you that carrier charges may apply. But other than that, it's absolutely free. There's no cost from the county. There's no cost to sign up. And you can sign up for more than just mobile alerts. You can sign up for alerts to your landline. You can get it by email. Alerts are available in multiple languages. And again, like Chief Matheson said, think of this more broadly than just fire. We are facing a very significant storm system late this weekend and into Monday. If it becomes necessary to issue a protective action, whether that's a shelter in place or an advisory or even an evacuation, we'll use Alert SCC and we will use Zonehaven, right? So don't confine your thinking just to wildfire. Just because it's raining and our wildfire risk is down, not eliminated, but down, doesn't mean, hey, don't worry about this till next season. Worry about it now. Please sign up for it now. You've got the long website there. Gina has placed it in the chat. And again, just alertscc.org will also get you to that sign up page. We can go ahead to the next slide there, Gracie. Oh, I think we missed one. There we go. I want to touch on social media. And you know, I do a lot to help run our department's social media. I think social media is an important tool. We used social media just to notify the community about a tree down today in the Redwood Estates area. Social media is a wonderful tool. It's a great tertiary method to receive information. It cannot be your primary way to receive information, because it is a priority for us when we have time. It is not a necessity. It is not the same as Alert SCC. We will go well out of our way to make sure that information goes out over WIAs and over Alert SCC. The same can't be said of social media. You know, and the other thing to think about is that certainly our fire department, which you see our handle there is the @SCC Fire Department, is a reputable source of information. But we're also very aware that to get reputable information from social media, sometimes you have to make your way through a lot of misinformation. And so if we need to contact you immediately and directly, we're going to use those other methods. All that said, if you have general interest in what we're doing, if there's something, if there's a road closed and you're wondering, hey, what's going on? Social media is a great place to go. We will get Zonehaven alerts out over social media eventually. What I can't commit to is that it's gonna be first. Our first priority, our top priority, again, is those wireless emergency alerts and Alert SCC. Definitely worth writing down some of our partner agencies. We unfortunately don't have all of them listed there, but make sure you have access to your local city government, your local police department. If you're not served by Santa Clara County Fire, if you're served by another fire department, make sure you have their social media handles as well. It is a great way to keep an eye on everything. And before we move on, I just want to mention PulsePoint. If you're not familiar with PulsePoint, check it out either in the Google App Store or the Apple App Store. Is a great application for just having general awareness for what's going on in the community. So I started by saying, you know, how much I appreciate you being here tonight with us. Oh no, I lost my screen. Or did we lose yours, Gracie? I don't know, hopefully, no, just mine. How much we appreciate you being here and how important this is. But now I want to emphasize that this is really just the first step. There's a lot more work to be done, and I hate to say it, but a lot of that work has to be done on your part. We really need your participation in being prepared. Because when major disasters strike, as you know, as a Californian and as a resident of Santa Clara County, when those major disasters strike, emergency services get stretched thin, and we have to go to the emergency. And so we need you to be prepared to self-sustain. And so what this slide is here for is not for you to learn everything there is about emergency preparedness, because there is a ton. This slide is here to let you know that you need to start that process if you haven't already. And I know a lot of you have, and I don't mean to say that you haven't. I know you have, but revisit it constantly. Think about, what is my family's emergency and escape plan? Think about, do you have a go bag? Like, if you had to evacuate in 3 minutes from right now, are you ready to go? Do you have what you need to self-sustain for 2 or 3 days? Do you have a kit in your car? What if that evacuation order comes in when you're not at home? Do you have what you need to self-sustain out of your vehicle for 1, 2, 3 days? And then the other thing is, really know multiple ways out of your neighborhood. I'm a fire engine captain. That's where I come from. And I've shut down roads, and I've had people not know a second way out of their neighborhood. You have to know multiple ways out of your neighborhood. Wildfire is not like a tsunami. I live on the coast, and we have tsunami warnings and tsunami evacuation routes, and that works great because I know the tsunami's coming from the west. Wildfire does not work that way. It can come from any direction, and it can go any direction. So know multiple ways out of your community. Again, visit our website for more information. I see Gina putting information down there in the chat with links. We talk a lot about having go bags, having a home inventory, pets and disaster. We've got a bunch of webinars that talk about not just preparation in terms of your physical well-being, but also your financial well-being, right? Of being prepared with insurance and things like that. We do deliver classes all the time. They are open to the community. Most of them are free. They are all about preparedness. A lot of them are ongoing, and you can visit us at our Eventbrite. It's just sccfd.eventbrite.com, and see our current offering of classes, including CPR classes and things like that are absolutely essential. Get involved with your local community emergency response team or CERT. Just be involved and be prepared. And you being prepared is one of the most important things you can do for me as an engine company captain. So I want to thank you in advance for taking time to do that. That's all I have for tonight. I want to thank my coworkers, Chief Matheson, Gina, Gracie, and I want to thank all of you for taking time to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so we do have some questions in the chat. So I'm going to scroll, so just give me one moment. Oh, it looks like Gina, you had answered those questions. If at this time, if there's any questions that you may have, please enter that into the chat. We are going to stay on. I'm going to unshare the screen here. We'll stop sharing, and we'll stay on for as long as you like to answer your questions.
Hi, I'm Captain Stockman. I think you can answer this one. Is there a way or need to register with Zonehaven to get alerts from it too?
Currently, no, there's not. And again, that's a real, I know I sound like a broken record, but I really want to drive that home. The way that we alert remains the same. You need to be signed up with Alert SCC. Zonehaven is developing a method to go directly from Zonehaven to social media. I think that will help. But again, it's just not the same as getting those emergency alerts directly to your phone.
Okay. I don't think I see any other. One of them, another question earlier was, I registered once for Alert SCC, but I'm not sure if I'm still registered. And I did answer it, but I just wanted to make sure, right? Once you register, you are registered, you're not removed from the database.
Gina, I think the one issue there would be if they didn't have their login and their phone number changed, that would create an issue. You can try resetting your password through Alert SCC, and if not, another method would be just to create a second account. And I know that's not ideal because you might then be signed up in 2 different places. But we'd obviously much rather have you over signed up than under signed up.
If anyone has any issues with that, I can connect you with the Office of Emergency Management, who can assist you with resetting your password, or if you need to deactivate it, whatever your need is, we can help you with that.
And Chief Matheson, maybe you can answer this one. Is there a mobile phone application for Zonehaven, or is it just the mobile website?
Captain Stockman, not too familiar with that.
Yeah, so
I can see it on my phone.
yeah, so it's not an application. It is just accessible as a web page, and that's actually intentional. We really want it to be a lightweight, highly compatible experience. Is why there isn't an application. So what you'll notice is that it's actually formatted for pretty much any screen you can be on. And on that note, something I neglected to mention during my portion is, remember that during some emergencies, like a major storm, as an example, you can lose power, and when you lose power, you can lose connectivity. So you may not be able to access the Zonehaven portal, that community.zonehaven.com, when you need it most. And that's why I really want to emphasize writing your zone down today, because even though your phone might not be able to access the internet, it should still get SMS text messages, because those are transmitted a little differently. So having that redundancy of knowing your zone, because again, that text message will specifically call out the zone. So make sure you have that zone written down somewhere where you can access it and remember it.
And there was just another comment about those of us who only have one way out, can be a challenge, of course. And I don't know, Captain Stockman, being a, working on the engine, right? That does become challenging for everybody.
All the more reason to get out early.
Absolutely. Get out early, and really be aware of what's going on, and just constantly be thinking about what alternatives exist. Absolutely. Get out early.
And yeah, as a reminder, it is important that once you do locate your zone, as Captain Stockman and Chief Matheson have mentioned, you can write it down, but just simply, you could put it in your phone too. Even though it's not a smartphone application, you can create like a phone entry that just says Zonehaven, and in the notes section, you can write down your zone, because again, during an emergency, right, you need to know exactly what zone you are in order to follow the correct orders that are being given. So again, that can be as easily as just creating a new new record in your address or in your notes section, or however. Eventually we're going to have stickers and magnets that we're going to be making available when we do community events, but again, temporarily right now, just have that zone ready to go right in your smartphone.
Gina, can I address Allison Aldridge's question about getting alerts from Zonehaven? So her question is there a way or need to register with Zonehaven to get alerts from them too? At this point, no, there isn't. They are constantly upgrading their program, and eventually they will be able to post to social media and to our Nextdoor accounts and those other social media outlets. But at this point, there's not. So that's why it's so important that everybody get on the Alert SCC list, because the Zonehaven notifications are going to come via the Alert SCC.
Great, excellent. And then a question has come in, do we come out and speak to HOAs or within the communities, especially with those where English is not their first language?
We can look into, we can look into that. I know that we have some bilingual members in our department that might be able to work with that. So we can definitely talk offline regarding their needs.
Perfect. Yeah. And then these recordings are going to be available on our department website and our YouTube channel. And I did place that in the chat. You can access the video that Justin eloquently describes how to access the Zonehaven website, the platform. And so that's also on our department YouTube channel as well. And then another question's come in: if cell towers are down, how will we get notices?
Yeah, that's a very valid question. And again, I want to emphasize that how we conduct evacuations and how we notify hasn't changed. And what I'm getting at is that we've always been prepared for that reality, because it is more or less expected during certain disasters. So don't think that we will confine ourselves as first responders to only notifying you through digital means. We will use those old school methods of enlisting law enforcement to actually drive through neighborhoods over loudspeakers and tell people to evacuate. And as we're able and as appropriate, we will actually come to your door and knock on the door and ensure that you either have evacuated or are very aware of how imperative it is to evacuate. And I want to take this opportunity to reemphasize something Chief Matheson said, which is we do not take evacuations lightly. It is very rare that we evacuate. If we are telling you that you need to evacuate, we are sincerely concerned for your safety. So if you're in that situation and there's a law enforcement officer coming to your door and saying it's time to evacuate, there's no interpretation. We are genuinely and sincerely concerned. So, but again, we will use more methods than just that digital text message delivery. We will literally come to your house if need be.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And again, if you have any further questions later on, I'm putting again our contact information, which is a direct email. You can feel free to email us if you can put the subject line as Zonehaven. That will help us route the appropriate call. If for some reason, maybe you are on the website and something doesn't look right with your address or your zone, again, you can contact us and we can assist you because we work directly with Zonehaven, of course. So, oh, another question has just come in. We have active ham groups in many communities. Will notices be sent via ham radio?
I don't think that's part of the plan. At this point, I'm willing to entertain it. I mean, we can talk again offline if you want to tie in with our offices afterwards. But at this point, it's social media. It's going to be door to door. But yeah, we don't have a plan for ham radio operators.
Okay. I don't see anything else. We will be sharing a Dropbox link that has the Zonehaven brochure, alert SCC information, and some other information with you. So again, thank you for registering for this webinar this evening. Again, it will be shared via our department website and our YouTube channel. And again, I did put the link that you can follow Santa Clara County Fire Department on Eventbrite. Every time we launch a new class or a new program, you will get a notification. And this Zonehaven webinar is being offered monthly all the way through May. And you can find that information on our Eventbrite link, which I'll put in the chat one more time for you. And I'll also put the upcoming webinars. Gracie, if you wanted to talk about that.
For the upcoming webinars, we
Yes.
have a flyer that we can send out through Dropbox. Our next one will be on November 2nd. So that will be something that you can talk to your friends, your neighbors, your community, just to invite them to our presentation so that they can get this information as well. So that information will be included in the Dropbox.
And it has been placed in the chat as well. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Again, thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you, Chief Matheson and Captain Stockman, for your wisdom. And we hope everyone stays safe.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and please feel free to come back to the other webinars as well. Other people may be asking different questions, or you might get some information from the questions that you hear. So, I mean, the questions that you read in the chat. So please, you're welcome to come back. Every presentation is different due to those questions. So have a wonderful evening. Be safe.